Hey folks, Aunt Diane here. The true movie I'm going to discuss today is called Painful Secrets or Secret Cutting. It was made in 2000. I saw it years ago. Now it said it's based on a true story, but when you go to look, you don't see the actual story, but it's probably something that typically has happened in the past. And I think that if there were real people involved in order to protect the anonymity of the child, especially teenager, and the family. They probably don't cite the actual case, but they do say it's based on a true story. Girl's picked on. She has no friends. She's picked on by other people in school. And the only way to make herself feel better is to self mutilate, unfortunately. The mom and dad are narcissists, the mother much more. The father at least does have a sensitive side. And all the mother thinks is, what are people going to think of us? She says she loves her and cares, but then she'll say something like, what is everyone going to think of me? I'm going to call the girl at the center of the story the girl. Okay, the one person that she does meet who becomes her friend, I'm going to refer to as the friend. The guy that ends up being her ex-boyfriend is going to be called the boyfriend, who's a jerk. It seems like all he cares about is sex. And she said she wasn't ready, and he got her to do an alternate activity, if you know what I'm saying. Um, he noticed blood where she was, cutting herself. And, the first time he didn't say anything. She said she hurt herself or something. Second time he says, you're a freak. I don't want to be with a freak like you. And he's old enough to live on his own. He's like 19. He lives in one of those lofts where you go right to the elevator and go down one of those old fashioned. He literally pushes her in the elevator and says, get out of here. Obviously, this is just a stock picture. The girl meets the one friend who neither of them have friends, so they befriend each other. They're both very good at art, and they talk sometimes. They both have problems. The friend finds out that the girl does self-cutting and stuff like that, and she even burns herself with a lighter from the car. I mean, it's terrible. And the friend sees a therapist who's played by Rhea Perlman from Cheers, and it's weird to see her in such a serious role, but she does a good job. Um, she wants the girl to start seeing that therapist too, and at first she's scared to do it. She doesn't want to do it. So they know it's going to take some time to talk her into doing it. The parents catch the girl hurting herself very badly, cutting, burning. They rush her to the emergency room. After being bandaged up and seen by the doctors, one of the doctors suggests that the girl get some professional mental health. And the mother seems kind of hesitant, but she eventually agrees. And the father seems much more supportive. And the girl blurts out, I want to see Dr. So and so. The psychologist or psychiatrist explains to the girl that by self harming herself, that is her way of communicating what's hurting or bothering her instead of speaking up. At this point in the movie, the mom checks out the girl whenever she comes home from school or before bedtime to see if there's any new injuries that she inflicted on herself. She's got a little brother who's about, I guess, maybe 10 years old. The girl's 16, so he's like a little disrespectful bratty. So he's saying, why does this whole family have to have problems just because of her? Stuff like that. And, why doesn't she just, horrible things. And he's disrespectful to the parents too. Like, why should I go to bed? It's 9:30. Why should I go to bed now? He doesn't listen to anything they say. So, meanwhile, the father's being a little bit um, more affectionate. He says he loves her and he hugs her. And the mom later on says that she loves her, but then she starts saying, "Do you know how this is affecting me?" Like the mom's more worried about how she's affected than the daughter who's going through it. Also, the mom tells a story how her little sister died when they were small. And the girl's shocked. She didn't even know she would have had an aunt. The mom explains that her little sister ran into the road when she was 5 and got hit by a car and passed away. So you start to think, the viewer starts to think, oh, maybe this is why she's the way she is. But that was just a rare moment where she kind of let herself be vulnerable, and then she goes right back to her old ways. Eventually, the friend asked the girl to teach her how to ice skate because the girl's a pretty good ice skater. She says, okay, and they're having fun, falling over each other, having a good old time. And it's a pretty touching part of the movie. Just when the girl thinks that things are starting to go better, the school bullies start laughing at her and pointing and everything. It turns out that they found out about her self mutilation, and even worse, the mom who plays bridge once a week with some of the other moms in the area actually told them that. Her thinking was that maybe the peer pressure from the other kids would make her stop cutting. Not only was the girl's mother not helping her by thinking the only thing she could do is just hide all the knives in the house so she couldn't get to them, she also refused to take the girl to the hospital to visit her friend, her only friend, who was beaten up by her mom's boyfriend and is in the hospital in a coma. The girl then goes to her ex-boyfriend's apartment, and all the bandmates end up taking advantage of her sexually. After that, she's so upset she just really mutilates herself badly and ends up in the hospital in restraints. Her mom said she can't take it anymore and she's leaving. One thing the girl does, though, before her mom leaves is she says, "Why is everything about you?" And I guess she felt better doing that. She's talking to her psychiatrist later and tells her she wasn't as upset as she thought she would be about her mom leaving. And she starts crying. And the psychiatrist says, that's a good sign. You're better off crying than hurting yourself. At the end of the movie, a couple of positive things happen. The little brother apologizes for the mean things he said to his sister, and they end up hugging. The father promises to help the girl with her schoolwork so that she'll get into a good college. And the girl goes to visit her friend in the hospital, who is doing better but still recovering. She's awake and everything. She's showing her pictures that they were both working on an art project because they're both good at art. They're working on an art project for the Winter Carnival, which the popular girls were in charge of, but these two girls were in charge of like the art and stuff. So the friend makes an observation and says, well, those girls might be popular now and this is their time, but our time is going to, come up. So that's more important. They're using their brains. Those girls might just have their beauty or whatever and be big shots. But you're left with a positive feeling at the end of the movie. Now, a couple of observations about the movie, and it's kind of funny. The girl has seems to have a very high squeaky voice, and I don't know if it's the recording or not, but it reminded me of the old Godzilla movies that were done in the 60s where the mouth isn't matching up with the sound. So however it was done, they're dubbing it in English. It's like, hello, how are you? And then the mouth's going. So some of the talking wasn't matching the mouth. So that might have been just transferring it to, YouTube or something. I don't know. Maybe it was a low quality recording. Everybody's voice seemed a little high, and it was just kind of weird. And I don't know if that girl just naturally had a high voice or not. Another thing I noticed about most Lifetime movies, if not all, why do they always have such big fancy houses? I mean, why don't they just show somebody with like a real modest house like mine? They all have these big, beautiful McMansions. I'm sorry to use that word. I hope it didn't insult anybody. That's those neighborhoods with everybody that has like a real big house built, um, new developments and everything. Why don't they ever just show like poor people, or just middle class people, just a plain old house? No, they always have to have this big fancy house. It just isn't very realistic. But otherwise, the movie did really make you think, and it really did. It brought my emotions out. And I had seen it years ago, and I watched it again. When I saw it years ago, it was on TV. It was actually not originally on Lifetime. It was on one of the other cable channels, but this time I saw it on YouTube, and it still brought the same, sad feelings to me when I saw it again. So you could try catching it on YouTube, or if you have Lifetime Movie Network, which I don't, maybe you could find it on Amazon Prime. I haven't looked. I just looked on. I have Amazon Prime, but I didn't look if it was there. I just went right on YouTube and found it again. But I think it's a movie worth watching, and you might enjoy it, even though it will bring some sad feelings to you. It's the end of the movie kind of gives you a positive feeling. So I'd say it's about a 7 out of 10, an 8 out of 10. Okay, I'll be back next week with another true movie. Love you. Bye bye.